Hello, welcome to natemareflix. I am Nate, you are you, and today we are doing a video that was requested by subscriber John Z Gaming. He wants to know my favorite zombie films, and so by golly, that is what you guys are going to hear about today. Today is the top 10 zombie films according to old Nate himself. Now my list will not match your list, do not expect it to. There are so many zombie films and my taste on zombies is just all over the map. I think that's because you can do so much with a zombie tale. We have zombie films made to make you laugh, made to make you cringe, made to make you cry. We have shock and awe, we have good human stories, we have stuff meant to critique society, so on and so forth. You're gonna get a bit of it all here in this list, so we'll not match your own, but like I always say, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one and mine might stink. But go ahead and tell me all about your asshole down in the comments section. I'm talking about your opinion, but if you want to talk about your butthole down there, I guess I can't stop you, and it all looks the same to YouTube's engagement algorithm, so knock yourself out. But if you want to talk about zombies, I will see you down there and talk all about zombies with you all day. But until then, let's go ahead and talk about my top 10 zombie films. Number 10 is the Dawn of the Dead remake, one of the finest horror remakes we've ever received. Zack Snyder really injected so much of his trademark style into this film, and I think it's all the best bits of Zack Snyder. This just works as a readaptation of a beloved classic for a modern era. This thing is just an absolute riot that has a frenetic pace and just so much gore and violence within it, and the beginning is the ultimate hook. I remember seeing this for the first time as a kid and be like, I gotta go to bed, I gotta get up really soon for school. I've definitely stayed up way too late as it is. I'm just gonna watch the beginning of this film on commercial break, I'll go to bed. Didn't happen because that movie, the way it starts, it just grabbed me and pulled me in, and I stayed up all freaking night watching the movie, but no regrets. Number 9 is ReAnimator, and I feel like a lot of people don't even consider ReAnimator a zombie film, but it's right there in the title. ReAnimator, as in reanimating the dead, aka we got the living dead, we got zombies, and they don't make them like this anymore, and that's a shame. I was actually just thinking about doing a video of the top 10 horror movies I'd like to see remakes for, and I thought ReAnimator, but it would be awful now. Because instead of the stunning practical effects that we got on a shoestring budget with ReAnimator back in the 80s, we would now get one that was just bloated with tons of CGI and digital effects that just wouldn't dazzle the way the effects in the original did. And then this movie just goes really dark places. There's some dark humor in this film that you don't see anywhere else, and they wouldn't dare toe that line nowadays. So ReAnimator is a one-of-a-kind, delightfully bizarre little film that if you're a horror fan and you haven't seen it, it would really behoove you to go check it out. Number 8 is Quarantine, and I know some people are rolling their eyes right now like, oh, why wouldn't you just put Rec? Well, it's because I haven't seen Rec and it's my list. Don't worry, Rec is on a short list of horror films that I'm trying to get around to seeing, but in the meantime, I have seen Quarantine and I love the hell out of it. The weekend I rented this, I actually watched it twice that weekend. I'm all about horror films with really confined settings, and that apartment building seems so confined, and then you go into the individual apartments and they feel even more confined. They're dark, there's danger behind every corner. The zombies are so intense and hellacious in this film. The lead was very strong. I really enjoyed her. And there's just so much about Quarantine that works for me that it really does get me jazzed up to go check out Rec. Sue me. Number 7 is ScoobyDoo and Zombie Island. That's right, I told you we're doing a little bit of everything here. This was such a big part of my childhood. I burnt that VHS up, and I can only hope that when I have children, they have entertainment like this, because God knows kids make you watch the same thing 1,000 times. At least ScoobyDoo Zombie Island was kind of adult and mature with some of its themes, some of its plot elements. It treated the children with respect, understood what children could really handle. The animation is great, so I would say it's actually better than a lot of the stuff put out for kids nowadays. There's some real awesome horror stuff going on there. It's a really nice plot twist. The voice acting is incredible, and I just love it. I have so much nostalgia for it, and hey, like I said, it's my list. Number 6 is The Return of the Living Dead, another delightfully unique film. I love all the little like punk rockers in this film. They're so just crazy, but you know those types, those like counterculture types that just take it way too seriously and are so hardcore. This movie is so tongue-in-cheek. It gets campiness done so well, and there's just so many different scenes that when you say Return of the Living Dead, they come to my mind instantaneously, like the weird yellow naked man, the tar zombie, Trash by Linnea Quigley, that character dancing just full on naked on top of the tombstones. I love the score in this film. There's so much about this film that just works for me. It makes it so highly rewatchable. Number 5 is Zombieland. Talk about a dream cast with Woody Harrelson, Emma Stone, Jesse Eisenberg, Bill Murray making a fantastic and hilarious cameo. I love the rules set forth by this film. I love that the zombies are actually scary and the gore is fantastic. It's obviously a superbly funny film, and it's just a great ride that goes by so quickly. This thing came out of nowhere. I did not expect to like it when I heard about it, and then I really did. I think we needed this film. I think it's a great counterpoint to so much of the serious zombie stuff that was coming out at this time in our culture, and I think it just holds up and always will. Number 4 is 28 Days Later, and some people don't consider this a zombie film either because they say it's the rage virus, but you know what, they're zombies, y'all. In my book, they are zombies, and this one just really is a tragic type of film. It gets into this apocalyptic setting and just really has a nice human element to it. This thing will rip your heart out and show you to it while showing you some terrifying zombies. Some of the sequences in this movie are unrivaled in their intensity, and I just applaud what was done with this film and just this franchise as a whole. I wanted to limit it, this top 10 to just one of the films though, just so that we get all sorts of variety going on. I could easily have the 28 Weeks Later in here, and I hope that we get more of these down the line, but in the meantime, I'm more than happy with the films that we have in this franchise, and 28 Days Later is just such a spectacular film. Check it out if you haven't. The acting, the directions, everything about this thing just works, and this thing will punch you in your gut. Number 3 is The Dawn of the Dead. This might be the most famous zombie film. I feel like so much about what we know about zombies, so much of what we see in our culture about zombies really comes from this film. I feel like this is the root of it all. I know it's not the earliest, but this is just Romero at his like creative peak to me. I love the way that he critiques our society and our like rampant consumerism. There's just so much going on in this film that on a thematic level that is like unrivaled. Romero was so good at that, but then the actual zombies themselves, it just works. The set pieces are fantastic. I love the setting of this film. The kills are incredible. This is without a doubt one of the best zombie films of all time, and you had to know it would be in the top 3. Number 2 is Shaun of the Dead, and it feels like this movie should be lightning in a bottle, but this creative team somehow has come together and given us a bunch of really damn good films. This one just works for whatever you want it to. If you want really good zombie effects, you want good scares, you want impressive gore, it's got that. If you want a nice little tongue-in-cheek satire of the genre, you got that. If you want great acting, it's got that. If you want a little bit of a love story, you want some human elements, it's got that. It has everything, and then it just makes you laugh. We don't get a lot of comedies anymore, so it's always great to sit down and watch this one, and as a horror fan, get all the things we want from a horror movie while also getting real like belly laughs going on. I remember the first time I saw this film, and it just stuck me. I knew right away that this would always be one of my favorite zombie films, and to this day, you can tell it still is because it's number 2. Number 1 is Night of the Living Dead, and I hate when lists do stuff like this. They take an all-time classic, they go back to the black and white film, the first one, and they say, this is my favorite. It feels like what you have to do, but it doesn't just feel like that with this one. I can absolutely sincerely tell you this is my favorite zombie film of all time, and it has been since I was a child. When I sat down, and back then I couldn't tolerate black and white stuff as a child. It just didn't stimulate me, but this did. For some reason, this has always grabbed me. I talked about with quarantine, loving confined settings. This movie has for some reason always felt to me so confined and so small, but yet so big. It feels like the whole world is at stake. It feels like humanity is fighting and on its like deathbed. Just seems like everything is up for grabs. And then the way the characters bounce off one another, all the drama inside and against one another while also being faced with death at the door, the living dead coming for you, and the fact that the ending is so nihilistic and bleak, I think it's powerful. And that's before even getting into the fact that you had a black man cast and a movie in the 60s to be your main protagonist. Like, you just didn't see it back then, and I know Romero didn't do it as stunt casting. He said he wasn't going for any sort of message with that. It was all incidental. Well, good thing the stars aligned, and that's the best way you can say it with this one. The stars aligned, and you know, the horror genre is never the same since then. This is the precedent for all these other films on the list, but it's actually just a good, solid watch every time. This is a film I like to watch every October. It's one of my favorite horror movies. If I did a top 25 list, this would be on it. If you haven't seen it and you're a horror fan, you owe it to yourself to check it out. Other than that, guys, I hope you have a fantastic day. Of course, subscribe if you haven't. You know I'd appreciate it because I'm a YouTuber. But also comment below your top 10 zombie films. I can't wait to read them and talk about them with you guys. But like I said, have a fantastic day. I'm Nate for natemareflix, and that's a wrap.